Throughout college, my friends and I always planned little trips for spring break, winter break, and small 3-day getaways after we finished exams. This particular year, we decided to meet up as a group for a week-long summer trip at a secluded cabin in the woods. It was a trip none of us will ever forget. It was mid-July in Minnesota, so it was upwards of 95 degrees. We had plans to jet ski on the lake, fish, swim, barbecue, the usual summer activities friends do together. The cabin was massive. I didn't realize how big it was when I booked it for us. There were 6 in our friends group, and this cabin had 10 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. There was a massive kitchen, dining room, a den, a sitting room, and a hot tub out back. The backyard was spacious, with a dock and lake straight behind the house, and woods to either side of it. There was an outside patio with a large flat stone grill and fireplace for outdoor entertaining. I knew we would be spending plenty of time out there. The first night after everyone arrived, picked out rooms, and settled in, Jason and Corey decided to put that massive grill to use and whip up some burgers and brats. Myself, my friend Amy, Sherry, and Jane all prepared a large salad, enough to feed an army, grabbed plates, hamburger and hot dog buns, and set the large picnic table out back. We were all laughing and catching up with each other when there was a loud snap, somewhere out to the left near the woods. Naturally, us girls all quieted down and turned our attention in the direction of the noise. "What the heck was that?" I said. "The boogeyman," said Corey, holding his hands up, making scary faces. "Well, I hope he gets you first, you smartass." "I'm sure it was just a deer stepping on a branch or something," Jane interjected quickly. We went back to catching up and laughing around the fire for a few more hours before splitting up and turning in for the night. With 6 of us and 10 bedrooms, some of us were secluded from each other. My room was all the way upstairs in the back corner of the cabin. It was a smaller one, but it was cozy and just the right size. There was an empty room between Jane and I, and a bathroom and bedroom separated Jane and Sherry. Corey, Jason, and Amy all had bedrooms downstairs. I hopped in the shower to wash the smell of campfire off, turned down the covers, and hopped into bed. There was something about fresh country air that really could make you tired. I was out pretty much as soon as my head hit the pillow. I must have been asleep for an hour or two when I heard whispering outside my door. My friends meant well, trying to spare me from waking up, but they could not talk quietly if their lives depended on it. I laughed and couldn't wait to tell them how loud they actually were in the morning. Since I was up, I knew I had better use the restroom or I'd just be up in an hour again to do so. The whispering stopped as I got to my door. When I opened it, there was no one there. I couldn't have imagined that loud whispering. I bet the girls quickly ducked off into the empty room so as not to get caught. I'd let them have their laugh and call them out on it in the morning. After using the restroom, I climbed back into bed, chuckling and thinking about how ridiculous my friends were. The next morning, I was the first one awake as always, so I headed downstairs to start breakfast. I knew Jason would be up shortly after to start the bacon and sausage. It was our little routine on these friendcations. The girls and Corey would slowly rise one by one and help with setting the table and throwing the biscuits in the oven. We had a system. And, just like clockwork, Jason joined me in the kitchen and started the breakfast meats. Amy was the next one up, and then, just as I knew, Corey and the other girls came in one by one. "So, what was so interesting last night?" I asked Jane. "What do you mean?" she said. "I heard you and Sherry not so quietly whispering outside my room around 1 a.m., I replied. "Wasn't me. My head hit the pillow and I was done," Sherry chimed in. You can play the innocent card, but neither of you can talk quietly. I heard you clearly." "I slept all night too. I didn't even get in the shower. I fell asleep while waiting for you to get done," said Jane. "Okay, you two, keep sticking to your terrible story," I said, rolling my eyes. That day we spent all day in the water. I rented 4 jet skis and 4 paddle boats, so we took turns rotating activities, only breaking for a quick sandwich and chips for lunch. It was almost 6 p.m. when we decided it was time to head in and make some dinner. I quickly went upstairs to change out of my swimsuit and cover-up and into some shorts and a t-shirt, before chopping up the veggies for our steak and chicken skewers. Everyone else was just coming in and heading to change, so I grabbed the onions, peppers, and potatoes and got to work chopping. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the knife drawer slowly opening on its own. I froze. I blinked a few times, thinking I was going crazy. But it was still slowly opening, only stopping when Jason came in to help. I picked up my knife and continued chopping, not wanting to explain to him what I just witnessed, because I still couldn't believe it myself. We grilled our skewers, played a few rounds of poker, had a few drinks, and I called it a night around 11. I was exhausted physically, but also mentally from witnessing what I did earlier. It was time to get into pajamas and watch some funny cat videos. I must have fallen asleep scrolling TikTok because when I woke up sometime later, my phone was on my chest, screen down. I hopped out of bed, went to use the restroom, and settled back into sleep. I was just about asleep when I let out the loudest scream I've ever heard come out of me. My blankets were being tugged, more like ripped from me by someone or something at the end of my bed. Only there was no one there. It was as if someone was vacuuming my blankets up. Just as soon as I stopped screaming, the blankets came to a rest on the floor. My fight or flight instinct kicked in. I grabbed my phone and quickly rolled off the bed, ready to bolt out the door. By this time, Jane and Sherry were rushing through the door, asking if I was okay. I froze and started to fall to the ground, Jane and Sherry each taking an arm and sitting on either side of me on the bed. "What the heck happened? Are you okay? Is someone in the house?" Sherry asked. I, the blankets," I stammered. I couldn't talk for nearly 20 minutes. The girls helped me downstairs and insisted I drink some water. Finally, I told them everything, knowing they would think I was crazy. But because they are loving and supportive, they reassured me everything was going to be okay. I spent the rest of the night in the living room with the girls, who sweetly decided we would have a slumber party and watch some rom-com and eat popcorn, hoping to distract me from the trauma I had just endured. The rest of the week, we did the same. It wasn't until a week after we were home that I finally sat down to write a review of the cabin, as they offered us a $100 gift card for leaving one. I had only skimmed reviews before booking the place because out of 3,000 reviews, there were only a handful of 1 star. It was an almost perfect 5-star location. But the review below the text box caught my eye. It read, "Beautiful place, but strange vibe. My family rented this cabin for our reunion, and we experienced a few odd things. Cabinet doors were opened right after we had shut them. The bathroom door slammed after I walked out, and my niece swore she was followed down the stairs by someone, or something." I couldn't believe what I was reading. I wasn't alone. Other people had experienced things too. I found at least 5 more reviews of the same complaints and sent them to Jane and Sherry. Needless to say, we didn't rent that cabin the following summer. In fact, we went to an entirely different state. A huge thank you to Casey for sharing her story with us. If you have a story you'd like me to narrate, send it to the email address in the description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I think we're slowly working ourselves out of YouTube's dungeon and onto the streets. And with that, see you tomorrow, friends.